What are some of the specific things that Evan recommends leaders do to improve their health and their leadership?
Well, I think that's a perfect place to pick up in part 2 of our deep dive. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of Evan's approach to nutrition, exercise, stress management, and more.
Sounds good. I'm ready to recharge my leadership batteries. So we'll be back after a quick break.
All right, so we were talking about the perfectionist maestro right before the break.
Yeah, that inner voice that tells you you have to do everything yourself.
Right, and can be so sneaky because it disguises itself as, dedication or high standards, but ultimately it's holding you back from being the best leader you can be.
I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I've definitely fallen into that trap of thinking I have to do everything myself. And it's exhausting.
Oh, it is. It really is. And it also prevents you from empowering your team. If you're constantly micromanaging and taking things back over, your team never gets a chance to learn and grow.
That's so true. It's like you're actually hindering their development by not letting them take ownership.
Exactly. And Evan talks about how this ties into the idea of a growth mindset. It's about being open to learning, embracing challenges, and seeing setbacks as opportunities for growth.
Instead of beating yourself up for a mistake, you view it as a chance to learn and improve.
Right. And that kind of mindset can have a ripple effect on your whole team. If you're constantly learning and growing, it creates a culture of continuous improvement.
So it's not just about you as a leader.
Yeah.
It's about setting an example for your entire team.
Exactly. And that's where working with a coach can be so helpful.
Oh, yeah. Having someone to provide an outside perspective, help you identify those limiting beliefs, and support you as you work towards your goals.
It's like having a personal trainer, but for your mind.
I love that analogy. So it's not just about physical fitness, it's about mental and emotional fitness as well.
And one of the things that Evan emphasizes is that transforming your health and your leadership doesn't have to be about these big, drastic overnight changes.
Thank goodness, because I was starting to worry about having to live on kale smoothies and run marathons.
Yeah, no marathons required. Evan's approach is all about sustainable change, making small adjustments that you can actually maintain over the long term.
So it's about finding what works for you and your lifestyle, not trying to fit into some cookie-cutter mold.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of a personalized plan comes in. He stresses the importance of creating a plan that's tailored to your individual needs, goals, and preferences.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. It's about figuring out what works best for you and creating a plan that you can realistically stick with.
And I imagine accountability plays a big role in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. Accountability is key to achieving any goal, especially when it comes to health and well-being. It's easy to start with good intentions, but it's a lot harder to stay motivated and on track over time.
I know, I've definitely been there. I've started countless workout plans with tons of enthusiasm, only to fizzle out after a few weeks.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
And that's where having an accountability partner, whether it's a coach, a friend, or a colleague, can make a huge difference.
It's like having a cheerleader in your corner, reminding you why you started this journey in the first place.
And celebrating your wins along the way.
So far, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about the perfectionist maestro, the importance of a growth mindset, the power of small changes, and the role of accountability. What else can you tell us about Evan's approach?
Well, there's one more piece of the puzzle that I think is really important, and that's Evan's perspective on using food as fuel to optimize your energy and performance.
Ooh, food. That's a topic I can always get behind. So let's dive into that in part 3 of our deep dive. Okay, so let's talk about food. I'm really intrigued by this idea of using food as fuel for leaders. You mentioned earlier Evan's analogy of the body being like a 3D printer with food as the ink.
Right. It's such a powerful visual, isn't it? It really highlights how the quality of what we consume directly impacts our energy, our focus, our mood, even our resilience to stress.
So it's not just about calories in, calories out like we used to think.
Nope. It's about being mindful of the nutrients we're giving our bodies and making sure we're fueling ourselves for peak performance. And Evan's not about promoting some restrictive diet or anything like that. He's all about making sustainable changes that work for your individual needs.
That's reassuring to hear. I'm always skeptical of those fad diets that promise quick fixes.
Yeah. Those are usually not sustainable in the long run, and they can actually be harmful. Evan's approach is all about making gradual adjustments that you can maintain over time.
So what kind of adjustments does he recommend? Like, what are some of the key things that leaders should focus on when it comes to nutrition?
Well, one of the areas he emphasizes is protein. He suggests aiming for a certain amount of protein per meal rather than just focusing on the total for the day.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, protein helps to stabilize your blood sugar levels, which in turn helps to keep your energy levels stable throughout the day. You know how sometimes you get that mid-afternoon slump and you just feel like you can't focus on anything?
Oh yeah, I've definitely been there.
Yeah.
Like my brain just shuts down.
Exactly. Well, eating protein at each meal can help to prevent those energy crashes and keep you feeling more alert and focused.
So ditch the sugary cereal and go for some eggs or Greek yogurt instead.
Exactly. It's about making those small swaps that can have a big impact on your energy levels. And of course, hydration is crucial too. Even mild dehydration can affect your cognitive function.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that when I haven't had enough water, I feel kind of foggy and sluggish.
Right. And those little dips in mental clarity can really add up over time, especially when you're in a leadership position where you need to be on top of your game.
So we've got protein hydration. What about exercise? Does Evan recommend any specific types of workouts for leaders?
He's definitely a proponent of regular exercise, but his approach is all about finding what works for you and your lifestyle. He's not a fan of those intense boot camps or anything like that, unless that's something you really enjoy, of course.
So it's about finding something that you can actually stick with.
Exactly. And he's a big fan of incorporating movement throughout the day, like taking walking meetings or just getting up and stretching every hour.
With a good reminder that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Even small bouts of movement can make a difference.
Absolutely. And, the key is to find something that you actually enjoy, whether it's hiking, dancing, swimming, playing a sport, whatever gets you moving and makes you feel good.
That makes sense. When you enjoy something, you're more likely to do it consistently.
Exactly. So it's not about forcing yourself to do something you hate. It's about finding ways to make movement a part of your life in a way that feels sustainable and enjoyable.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about the connection between health and leadership.
Me too. Evan Messman has such a unique and insightful perspective. And if you're interested in learning more about his work, you can visit his website, proattitudes.com.
Yes, definitely check that out. And as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this. Think about one small step you can take today to improve your health. Whether it's adding some protein to your breakfast, taking a walking meeting, or simply drinking an extra glass of water. Remember, small changes can lead to big results over time. So invest in your health, invest in your leadership, and watch your life transform.